Good evening again, everyone. What can I say? I wish I could have produced a video a little sooner, but I got a little bit busy. It is Valentine's Day weekend, and I am married. Now, at this juncture, we're going to put the prosthetic on and everything. However, I did want to take a quick moment to kind of show you that at this point it's had 2 coats of latex on it. It is fitting like a second skin. Had you not watched the previous videos, I'm sure you would probably think that there was nothing on the armature at all other than the dark spots that you can see at the top. If you can hear my dog barking, I apologize. But nonetheless, it is on there, so you can, but it's all smoothed down. All potential bubbles around the neck and in the ears and everything have been pushed down to where it fits as tight as possible. And as I said before, the latex will of course retain its shape, so to speak. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stipple the face again with you watching, and then I'm going to apply the prosthetic. Now, I have went ahead and taken the liberty of trimming the prosthetic that I showed you before into both the upper portion of the face and then the lower jaw. It tends to make things go applying a little easier. So without further ado, we will get busy with that. So I mean, if you've ever done any makeup application, it's pretty much the same. Only difference is obviously with this, you need to make sure you're getting it on straight the first time, because it's going down, and you won't be able to take it back up later. So needless to say, you want to make sure it's positioned exactly the way you want it before pushing down, because it's needless to say, it's permanent. So, but you want to give the face a nice stippling down, just like you have all the other layers in the eyes and everything. You might have noticed that I didn't even trim out the eyes in the prosthetic, simply because I find that it makes it for easier application, and you trim out all of it later. So I don't know, it just tends to work a little bit better, I've found. It may work differently for others, but I prefer it that way. Definitely when you're, depending on your prosthetic, I mean, sometimes I guess you might want to go all the way down the neck, but for this one, I wanted to at least make sure I get all the way underneath the chin and at least all the way back to the ears, because I know it's going to attach there. Now, for whatever reason, the latex seems to take a little longer to get tacky on this than it does on the prosthetic, so I always like to do the head first. Now, another thing to keep in mind with this particular type of prosthetic, because the chin is meant to poke out and you don't want it sticking to itself, try not to apply any latex in the deepest recess of the chin. That way, when it's worn as a mask, maybe it won't get hung up, if you will. So I like to put a very thin layer on the lower lip, and of course around the edges, and you want it to go down, but just not in the deepest recess of the chin. That way it won't have that tendency of sticking. And yes, I run my latex all the way out to the edge. Trust me, other than having to make sure it's on there the right way the first time, it makes for the application much smoother. Okay, I like to set that aside, obviously, let that get tacky as well. And now we'll move on to the larger piece with the face. And of course that's a little harder. It tends to be a little more floppy. Some folks like to turn them completely wrong side out, but I find that tends to get a little messy. Or I find to get it all over my hands if I'm doing that, and I found that I get enough on my hands now without doing that, and here I am turning it wrong side out as I speak. Not intentionally, mind you, but I do like to run it all the way out to the edge. Some folks, a lot of folks, especially with the makeup, they'll tell you to start with the nose. I personally, on a mask, like to start with the forehead and then move my way down. But that's just on a mask. I'll admit, even on a makeup, I apply the nose first and stretch out. But that's just, people have varying faces, and on this particular armature, I don't feel like that's necessary. So obviously try to turn that back right side out. There we go. And unfortunately the heat gun will not help very much in the quicker curing of the latex. However, I am ready with the bottle cap as well, so as soon as I get the face on, then we'll move, of course, right into the bottle cap with minimal delay. Now, the bottle cap, I do like to do that in sections. I don't know if I'm going to produce separate videos for all those sections. It seems kind of redundant. But maybe I should. Maybe I should. Because I feel like that way it would be a little more comprehensive. I'm sure those that might be following would appreciate that. So, maybe I'll do it that way. Because I know everybody likes to hide the seams as well as possible after they get the prosthetic on to make it as realistic as possible. And being that the ball cap I like to do in several sections, maybe I'll produce, there'll be obviously shorter videos. I know most of them, I was kind of shocked when I produced that last one that it ran almost 40 minutes. But what can I say? Getting that sock over the armature sometimes is like wrestling a small python. But, okay, so right about now, the chin should be tacky enough that we can apply it. Now, I would recommend, obviously, applying it at the lower lip first, and then work your chin back, center it up. And you shouldn't expect it to just bond immediately. This isn't like super glue or anything. You can't expect that kind of a bond until it's had an opportunity to sit on itself and cure for a little bit. But once that happens, you should be able to, as I told you with the first layer of the latex, when you're doing the whole armature, you just push down on it and it'll stick, because, buddy, latex sticks to itself without a doubt. Okay, so the chin is down pretty good. Obviously we'll get it to go down a little bit better later, but it's in essence good in place. Yeah, I hope at this juncture you can already see the profile starting to change. Well, I put latex all over the whole face. I might as well go ahead and do it the whole interior of the prosthetic too, huh? Of course, trying to keep latex out of the deepest recesses, as I did with the chin, because I want the cheekbones to stick up and all of that. Okay, I don't recommend trying this with the makeup, in second thought, because with the makeup you're certainly not going to get it right the first time. Actors tend to flinch. I guess that's why armatures are great in that regard. They don't move. Frankly, I guess that's why I enjoy making masks over makeup in some cases. Okay, because we're doing this old style, we are going to kind of turn this wrong side out, despite my advice, just to make sure we get that nose centered. And there you go. Because I have a little bit on my hands and I don't want it sticking. Get it off just before you really go in and touching it. So I'm starting with the upper lip and the nose because, as we stated, we want that to be centered. And then right up into the eye sockets. And at that point you should be able to kind of, yeah, and it'll all fall right into place, except for in the cheeks. You might find that you need to stretch your prosthetic to get it to seal the complete gap. Again, pardon me if you can hear the small dog barking. I'm a canine person. Cats are cool, but dogs are cooler. Sorry. Comment that down below. I'll argue with you about it all day long. In friendly debate, of course. I've had cats, I've had dogs. They have their pros and cons. I find that I like my dog.